Hello and welcome everybody, or welcome back. This is going to be a daily Dharma number 2. I have cleared the cards. I'm anticipating a different message, but I call it daily Dharma 2 because as I'm laying out the first few cards that wanted to come out from my 3 cards mixed deck, the Kali, Kuan Yin, and Medicine Heart deck by Alana Fairchild, I've got a similar message brewing on the table here. So underneath here we have Daughter of the Phoenix, number 16 Nagpa here underneath the deck. She's got the chicken on her head, which is interesting to me because as a chicken mom myself, I think that we're talking about something possibly different than what the book might suggest, but to me it's like caretaking for our babies in some type of a way, and how we honor life. And do we see only food, or do we see all of our relations type of energy? So Daughter of the Phoenix, number 6, comes out when we are going through a significant upheaval and transformative situation in our lives, which was literally on the deck here. We had transformation from the Beyond Lemuria deck, and it was talking about how we need to trust in the process, evolve, and make sure that we're being agents of love versus the doom and gloom and succumbing to apathy, marketing, or the urge to belong to some type of agreement. Like there's this huge part of the human dimension that really just wants to not resist, to just go with the flow of whatever prevailing messages that we may be hearing. But it comes at a critical time here where we are being shown that to go with the flow may be at our own detriment. And so some of those messages coming through again here, but evolving a little differently. The intention for this reading was to take it a little bit more personally into our own world, and a less of a reading about our calling and our purpose and the world stage activating that than our interpersonal dynamics. I was thinking that that's what we're going to get into, so we'll see how the cards come out. Let me show you. Let's just get them all together here. So it came out in a stack, but they're telling a consistent message here. On the bottom, that one was the one that showed itself to me first, and it's master number 44, which I find interesting because in the stack earlier, number 44 from the Kuan Yin deck in this pile of cards showed itself, which is Weave the Future Golden. And we were talking a bit about star nations, star beings, and UAPs a little bit in there. And so with this, it's to me talking about being a cosmic agent in our own lives and how we take that transpersonal cosmic energy, or we may even choose to call it Christ consciousness, depending on what type of lens we're looking at it through. But with this energy, it's that the urge to be an agent of love in our lives, and how we then take that cosmic identity and just nurture life in all of its forms. So I want to start from the back now. So we've got Mare Tetao. I don't know how to pronounce these properly. Apologies if I butchered it. Number 8. So I'm just getting used to the Medicine Heart deck, which it looks like most of these are Medicine Heart decks. But this one talks about, she does have the bird in her hair, has a key in its grip, and she's got a bit of a war paint type look to her. And I've already kind of forgotten what it's talking about in the book. I just let me grasp this real quick because it's part of it. Yeah, when facing a choice, considering all of the responses available and how one outcome empowers the all of the energies going through you, and another one just kind of like throws all of your drinking water on the floor and just wastes it, type of a thing. It's like how we nourish the inner beingness and bring that forward in our lives. So this has to do very much with the way that our interpersonal relationships develop from there. So as part of that message as well, we have 20 Nagalia Ponya, which is the red panda. It talks quite a bit about our ability and dedication to be good earth stewards, which did come up in the previous reading as well. Then from the Kali deck, we have Matangi, however you say that, 24. This one is the queen of the outcasts, and it talks about another thing that came up in the previous reading was the feelings of being marginalized and being misunderstood or taken for granted or something such as that. And so here we may also be talking about how we can be advocates for marginalized structures, such as, we might be somebody who takes care of our immediate local environment, but also we might give to things like, I don't know what kind of I'm hearing World Wildlife Fund, and I'm not trying to advocate for that, because from what I understand, there's a lot of different agencies that have different operating systems, and they're not all equal in that regard to how they manage things and the effect that they're actually giving out in the world. But no shade to those guys in particular. I haven't investigated them myself, but the idea is that we want to be not only seen as people who dedicate our lives and our energy and our money towards philanthropic, how do you say that? Philanthropy, towards goodness and giving back. We might stand there with our church and do soup dispensing for homeless or something, and then that might be like, oh, I can check that off my box. But then if we go back into our world, into our personal relationships, and we're a tyrant or a victim or somebody who's very resentful, whether or not we make that anybody else's problems, we can sit in our own acid in that way. And so there's this acknowledgement of how we have, perhaps if you are identifying with this outcast card, how you have been able to take your time apart from society and to not feel challenged by the need to join in with the masses if they're doing something destructive. You have no problem standing apart, speaking your piece as much as you can. And it's just been part of your magic and mojo at this point that you were built and made in this time and space. You brought forth a different way to look at things. You've brought forth a very clear and decisive and lucid, personally self-aligned message with you in this time and space. And because of your ability to stand out and not be swayed by the masses, you are able to listen in a specific way to the demands of the moment and to where your heart truly lies. Heart lies. Interesting. So number 33, ascendancy capacity, came out in the 2-part reading for politics over the weekend, and it came out with Lotus Throne from the Kuan Yin deck, talking about someone's ability to ascend the throne and their capacity to hold that office or whatever. But in our own worlds, I believe that this is the application of the judgments that we would cast towards others and bringing that home to the most local environment of the innerverse, and figuring out what this challenging situation is bringing to bear on our own lives, and how we choose in this moment to grow and to change and to harness that potential to transcend and to be that agent of love in our lives. We bring that forward with this strong leadership potential that witnesses and advocates and stands true with the marginalized something that has been an unpopular or a subdued or suppressed knowledge has been part of your process, and it has um, brought a capacity to you to be a forerunner in some situation, a thought leader or something such as that. Now, I'll say again, in the Daily Dharma one and in recent times, I keep getting a lot of references to that movie, The Never Ending Story. It's such a good one. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But here, this card 23, Ajayu, it really reminds me of the name of the hero, which was Atreyu, if I remember correctly. And in here, these two owls at the sides there, they almost to me look like the head of a horse, like, because of the shape that's created here. It's almost like the nose and the eyes and the tuft of hair here. I don't know if you can see that, but she's looking up to the heavens as if in prayer, or like an eye roll that's like, really, I thought we did this. I thought we were in a better position than we actually are. And she's covered in roses, talking about this reassessment, repurification process. um, I don't know what that one is intended to Oh, yes. Okay. I remember now. It's talking about sort of like the fool's journey through life and how we do need to kind of walk through that, but that we are the actual hero of our own story. And so in this choice, what we choose to invoke, how and who and where we stand on things that come into us, it talks about the journey and the development of our personal character and the ability to choose to embody this journey in such a way that we have the capacity to hold everything that comes to us. So let's keep going. So we do have number 15 also now, the Priestess of Tellura. And this one talks quite a bit about the Tao. And in the previous reading, before, I didn't get a chance to read it on camera, but one of the Tao messages sitting here was looking at me afterwards, and I flipped it to read it because I was questioning the storyline. And it talks about, it's still right here. I'll read this and we'll do a shuffle and bring forth any messages that need to come out of that deck, especially since we have this reference to the Tao. The Tao is ever changing, it's self-correcting, it is ebb and flow, and how everything is true. Everything is ultimately working towards the preservation and continuance, the continuity of life, even if life as we know it completely changes. And so there's this need to get into those messages. Before we go to the Tao, I'm going to just put that Star Nations card out there again. So it's this process, this embodiment of the divine, the Tao in our systems, and being an agent of the Tao in our lives that is really helping this transformative process. And it starts within. And I would suggest that it's very much happening on the feminine aspect. So I believe that whether your gender might be whatever, I believe that those that are really aligned with their sacred feminine energy are the ones that are going to be the forerunners of this movement over the coming decades. There's got to be a correction from the patriarchy. It's come to critical mass and it can no longer be ignored. It's infiltrated all levels of our lives, all manner of our friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, and so on. And what do we do about that? We need to return to love. We cannot hate the world back into what we want it to become. That was the crux of the Daily Dharma 1. Let me pause and read this one. It's number 62. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. You ask why that might be. The good man definitely always treasures it and has great faith that things are going to be good. But at the end of the day, self-correction says that there will be ups and downs always. And the bad man's refuge is like, yeah, if anything I do can be forgiven, if love is the way, then nothing I do matters. So I'm just going to go out and lead the YOLO life, which used to be a big thing. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. I can just throw all of my old cigarette butts and my litter across the face of the earth, and there's no response from the earth, because the earth is just this material object. And so here it's like the Tao is the center. Even the etheric realms are the center, and we are just coexisting here. So let me try not to interrupt this. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient master esteem the Tao? Because being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you're forgiven. That's why everybody loves it. So lastly, it's when you seek, you find. It's like in an abundant universe, in a multidimensional universe, everything at the quantum level is a yes and a no. Everything is and is not. And so we're being asked to flow with something and to make sure that our life and our character is speaking for the alignments that we do choose consciously. And to not be afraid to stand apart, to raise your voice for something that speaks to you quite plainly and needs to be spoken. And also here we have, keep your fights short. Sun Tzu's advice that your objective should be to win the war, not keep winning the small battles, is great advice for couples. Say your piece politely and with respect. Listen to theirs in the same manner, then move towards peace. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Deal with it then and there, then leave it behind you. So there's no need to harbor things, especially in the closer the relationship, the more it is necessary for us to not harbor resentments and not speak them, but to actually air the grievances when they're small so that they can be discussed without separation energy. And of course, I mean, I'm not saying to negotiate with terrorists in your lives. I mean, if you've got a toxic person that you're separating from, especially narcissistic tendencies, that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about relationships that we wish to preserve. And so definitely know your worth and value. Sun Tzu said there are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever be seen. This was coming through last night, this morning, as I was watching this Hopi prophecy thing, and it showed 4 nations of people, the white, the black, the red, and the yellow. And I was kind of like, well, what about this group of people? Are they a combination then of these 2? I mean, because there are more than just 4, but on the basis they're talking about 4. And then you talk about the cross-pollination between cultures and genetics, and there is no limit to the capacity that we have to be so-called vessels or containers of all of our relations in our bodies. Value your friendships comes next. So we're talking about couples, we're talking about friends. Friendship is not something you hand out to just anybody. Sometimes they're only confirmed in dark and troubled times. Friendships can form instantly or they can grow slowly over time. An act of friendship does not have to be grand and dramatic. It can be a lot of little kindness added together. Friendships can take a lifetime to earn, yet be lost in a second. Nourish them. So there's a lot of friends being lost over this stuff. If, however, you are indulgent but unable to make your authority felt, kind hearted but unable to enforce your commands, and incapable, moreover, of quelling disorder, then your soldiers must be likened to spoilt children. They are useless for any practical purpose. So mind your mind, guard your thoughts. And if people don't care about those that they injure with their actions, then it's not a loss and they're not a friend, they're a frenemy. So this one says, choose well, then give it everything you've got. Almost anything we do, everything we do in life involves making a choice. We're talking about the big ones here. So for example, marriage. If you decide on somebody, but you are hesitant to commit, you may have made the wrong choice. If you've thought long and hard about it, considered all the options, the pros and the cons, don't go in half-hearted. Commit, kick away the ladder, and give it everything you've got. So whether we're talking about friends, family, colleagues, or so on, if you think that this person is really worth it here, then go all in and let them know as gracefully and respectfully as possible what you're thinking. And it says, Sun Tzu said, at the critical moment, the leader of an army acts like one who has climbed up a great height and then kicks away the ladder behind him. He carries his men deep into hostile territory before he shows his hand. So yeah, there's something that we can't come back from here. And I don't think I need to talk about what that might be. I think it's pretty obvious. Even if this is in the future, you're watching this. Here we have communication, co-creation. It gives this Three of Cups type energy. But do you see the way that their minds and souls are really plugged into this communication, this synergy at the center? It's what brings them together here in this moment. And communication is absolutely the way that my friend that I was thinking about while I was giving this is trying to call me now. I'll have to call her back. But it's talking about how with the grace and the understanding, the presence of mind, and the unconditional love in the moment when it's acceptable, and the sacred rage when it's acceptable too, that the choices that we make are defining moments in how we choose to communicate our values to the world by our choices is something that comes with repercussions. And if you're a person that has made somebody feel unsafe, then it's up to you to rectify, if possible, those things. But there's something that the ladder was kicked out behind. It's like, we're coming into the next phase of this journey. What has been done is still has us reeling. There's something that perhaps we can't get over, things that we can't take back here. But then there's also so many people coming together in light of controversy and calamity and chaos that are coming together to pray for peace, to pray for that united front, that whatever you might call it, unity consciousness, Christed consciousness, praying for world peace and awareness and awakening, and for divine intervention, however that needs to happen. It's like these are all powerful ways that we communicate our readiness for the next portion of our journey. And luminescence is under the deck. And look at her with this. It's showing me way back in the day, they still did it a little when I was little. You could fold up the piece of paper and then you kind of cut out the little people holding hands. It was kind of like a stick person, and if you didn't cut through the sides of the paper, it was on every bend. The people would be holding hands as you then fanned it out. And in the center of this, there's this essence of love radiating from the center of the individuals. And sometimes I keep saying not to excuse behaviors, but at the heart of this, many individuals that chose the bad thing did it with the best of intentions. They really thought by some stretch of their imagination or hypnosis or whatever we could point at in this situation for you, they thought that they were protecting something or doing it out of love. And so it's not about then what they chose, it's about their intention. And if there are people that have the intention of love, then that bears the need to speak things through. But then there's also the abusers, the typical abusers that we've seen in different depictions where they'll, just come unhinged, violent behavior, atrocious behavior. And then they're like, well, I do this because I love you, right? And because no one else will love you like I do, right? And there's something here about not giving some type of leader, elected leader, some type of supernatural power and insight projected from yourself to them. Like the leader cannot do anything that we cannot do for ourselves, is what it's coming through. And we are waking up to our divine love potential here. So I think that's enough from that deck. I just want to keep going. We've got a few more decks I wanted to get into. Any of the code cards that want to come forward? We did get romantic love in between here. Here we have 29 healing. That's an 11. The need to move through something and have this mass healing event. Throughout the chaos, the dynamic is the communication and the co-creation coming through. It's the urge to let the dust settle and to sort through the rubble after some type of cataclysmic event or development here. We have two coming out together now. There's something about the number 16. It came out earlier in the previous Daily Dharma. It's out here on, well, we've got 15 and 16. Anyways, here we have belief and conception. So whatever you believe is what you are birthing into this reality. And we're really being reminded about the critical attention that needs to be afforded to what we are nurturing at the seeds at the core of our body, and how that is integrated into the body itself. And then what comes back from our environment, the authority, sacral chakra, passion, divine masculine. Yeah, there's results, there's ramifications, there's karma for our actions here, how we use our authority that was based upon some type of possibly wounding of feeling unworthy, or that others were unworthy, that this is a situation that we need to compete for resources and utilize our passion to harm instead of to inspire. It's the misuse of the divine feminine, or divine masculine rather, energy. And so we're talking about the patriarchy and how we question that authority through being the outcast here. So what comes next? We have the dynamic card again now coming up. Communication, beautiful. We had this communication card came out earlier. It is the 14 card. So now we have a few 11s. We've got 13, 14, 15, 16. No, the 13 and 14 came out together in the Daily Dharma 1. And here is Mother Gaia. It's not just about the earth. It's not just about the material. It's about the sentience. It's about recognizing once and for all and believing with our whole beingness that the true authority in this matter is the Tao, which is the zero, which is Mother Earth. It's the cauldron of creation, the womb of all life. And part of this, we need to heal the belief that that bad things are about to be happening here, because it can get pretty dark. I'm not going to lie here, but it's in how we choose to integrate or to stand apart here, and which things we allow and don't allow, how we speak and stand in our own divine authority here. Violet flames underneath. Ooh, that one made a loud noise. Integrity coming out. How we stand in our integrity, and if somebody else hasn't been in their integrity, it keeps coming through that we don't want to do missile for missile, roast for roast. That's very low vibrational energy. In order to uplift everything that is, if we want what we're saying that we want, we need to be the seeds of love in our lives. We need to have the capacity to be the channels, the conduit for love and integrity and character to speak through us with authority, wisdom, to allow things to pass through the three gateways as truth, kindness, and wisdom. Know thyself, harm to none, to shift the dynamics of the world. Are we at the end of the video? We are. So we're definitely coming through a huge portal here of understanding and the wisdom to stand up for what we believe in, even if our voice trembles, even if we are the only one on the playground that's like, I'm not gonna sit here and laugh at your making fun of this individual. I'm going to go stand next to that individual, even though it feels bad to be standing there with everybody laughing in that direction. I would be the one to stand next to that individual being ridiculed, and I am powerful when I'm looking out for those that I care about. And here we're being riled up for an important part of the journey here. The master artisan. Part of your beauty and grace will be spoken through the art that you create in this world, the artistry that you are, the character that you are. We're overcoming and transcending the views of the ego, both within ourselves, and once we've met that, we can be a proper mirror and use mirror energy and magic and mojo to help others awaken to their own projections and fear complexes that have sabotaged their own grace and beauty and love. And we can settle the dust between the warring families and friends. Oh, Christed energy coming in to close the reading, the divine physician. And this isn't made to be biblical. This card is about rebalancing through the unconditional love force energy that keeps coming through today. Anything final? There's a lot still up in the air, so don't feel like everything is lost. We are still making it come to fruition. Uriel and the Sphinx, I've been watching people, and this one individual in particular says October-ish of 2026 into 2027. There's an alignment with Regulus and the Sphinx. I don't know if that has something to do with this. And here we have birth. We have conception and birth. So there's a new way coming into the near future here, and we're being told to stand in our truth here and be the thought leaders for integrity, and to stand up and advocate for what we truly align with and believe in from a place of grace, love, and tolerance, because we cannot